Yamada is a beautiful first-year high school student who captures the attention of everyone on her first day. She consequently became everyone's idol right away. However, she is now 15 and on her way to adulthood, but she is still a virgin. Surprisingly, her goal in high school is to find 100 casual sexual partners. Later on, she goes shopping with her best friend, Miharu Takeshita. On their way to a bookstore, some guys ask Yamada if she wants to hang out, but she angrily refuses. It's been revealed that she's quite picky, and that's one of the reasons why she hasn't been able to score a boyfriend yet. At the bookstore, she stumbles upon an average-looking boy and accidentally falls on him while looking for a dictionary. Consequently, the boy becomes flustered, but Yamada realizes he's a virgin and decides to pursue him as her first boyfriend. The following day at school, Yamada is wondering if she'll ever be able to meet the man of her destiny from the bookstore again. But something unexpected happens. It is revealed that his name is Takashi Kasuda and he's Yamada's classmate. Later on, she pushes him into the biology lab so they can get some privacy. However, due to her insecurities and inexperience, Yamada becomes confused and pulls up her shirt, hoping to seduce him, but the opposite occurs. Kasuda becomes anxious and runs away, leaving her embarrassed. Later on, the class teacher appoints Yamada and Kasuda to handle library duty. There, she again tries to seduce him in an awkward manner, but Kasuda gets confused and runs away again. A few days later, the midterm exams are announced and Yamada decides to use this as an opportunity to have her first kiss with Kasuda. She tells him to tutor her and he instantly agrees. Later on, they almost kiss, but Yamada's insecurities as a virgin fluster her and nothing happens. Nevertheless, a few days later, Yamada steps her campaign up a notch by finding a way to go home with Kasuda so that she can comfortably kiss him. Fortunately, she walks with Kasuda all the way to his house, where his open-minded and cool sister, Kazuki, welcomes her. She is pleased to see Kasuda bring home a girl and decides to give him some space. With no one else around, Yamada leans in to kiss Kasuda, who does not flinch this time. Her inexperience scares her to death yet again, and she rushes out of his house. The next day at school, Yamada is embarrassed about yesterday's incident and requests that Takeshita help her. Consequently, later on, Takeshita invites Kasuda to the pool and reveals she'll bring her boyfriend too. Meanwhile, Yamada makes up an innocent face so Kasuda accepts their invitation. Later at night, Yamada selects a sexy swimsuit for tomorrow's event, while Kasuda is already imagining her in different swimming outfits. The following day at the pool, Takeshita strictly prohibits Yamada from doing naughty stuff and introduces everyone to her boyfriend, Daisuke Matsuo. It is revealed that Takeshita was worried Yamada might steal her boyfriend, but nothing extraordinary happened. On the contrary, Matsuo and Kasuda instantly became friends due to their mutual interest in literature. Later on, after seeing Takeshita being all lovey-dovey with Matsuo, Yamada is pumped and takes Kasuda on the dangerous water slide. She enjoys riding the slide while Kasuda, being afraid of heights, clings tightly to her. Yamada interprets it as a sign of progress in her journey to lose her virginity and rides the water slide multiple times until Kasuda accidentally falls. Later on, she learns that the only reason Kasuda clung to her was because he has a height phobia and is disappointed. Shortly afterwards, the four of them visit the fireworks display, but Yamada is still mad at Kasuda. Matsuo notices this and advises Kasuda to give her a hug. Consequently, Kasuda searches for Yamada and, to her surprise, hugs her out of the blue. She becomes content with his kind gesture, and the following day she starts preparing for the final big moment by buying tons of condoms. Kasuda, on the other hand, tries to visit the condom shop, but being a shy guy, he gets flustered and runs away. Back at school, Yamada notices Kasuda talking to a busty girl and becomes jealous. Later on, it turns out that the busty student is Mayumi Yano and she's a childhood friend of Kasuda. Out of jealousy, Yamada considers her a rival after seeing that she is so interested in him. Takeshita, on the other hand, is convinced that Miyano is nothing more than Kasuda's childhood friend and decides to find out the truth. She visits Kasuda's home with Yamada, where they discover that Kasuda's family and Miyano's family get along well. However, Yamada secretly speaks with Kazuki and discovers that Kasuda is unaware of Miyano's feelings for him. The following day, Yamada, who is still uneasy, decides to confront Miyano with the question of how she feels about Kasuda. She confronts her with confidence, but in an unexpected turn of events, she learns that Miyano is in love with Kasuda. What's worse is that Yamada ultimately ends up serving as Miyano's love advisor rather than taking the initiative. At school, the teacher announces that the school festival is coming up soon. They discuss different theme parties for their class while Yamada notices that Kasuda has a camera. Out of curiosity, she starts following him and later learns that he's a member of the photography club. She then asks him about Miyano and a surprised Kasuda reveals that they're just childhood friends. Afterwards, Kasuda shows Yamada some of the pictures he took and asks her to accompany him on a photo trip and she happily agrees. Later on, Yamada becomes disappointed as she was hoping that the photo trip would include naughty stuff too. The next day, Kasuda invites Yamada to the photography club and reveals that he will be developing some photographs in the darkroom. Tempted by her desire, she decides this is the ideal time to obtain Kasuda's golden cherry. Later, while working on photo development, Yamada notices that the dark room only has a red light on. As a result, she undresses and moves in front of Kasuda, only to retreat when he turns around. Following that, she inadvertently trips the plug to the red lights of the dark room, and another student joins the photography club. Kasuda is flustered and fumbles around for the switch, but he accidentally touches Yamada's bare breast. He has no idea what he is touching because of the darkness, and he soon finds the switch to turn on the lights. Yamada leaves the room after being disappointed, but Kasuda later finds her and offers to take her home on his bicycle. The following day, it is revealed that Yamada's class teacher has chosen to use the theme of a haunted house because the school festival is quickly approaching. She volunteers to be the ghost because she sees it as an opportunity to kiss Kasuda in the horror booth. Later in the festival, an unanticipated turn of events causes him to miss the horror booth. She is bumped, but Misato invites her to compete in a beauty pageant for the title of School Festival Queen. Yamada is confident that she will win easily, but something unexpected happens. A transfer student named Kyoka Kenijo quickly gains the same number of votes as Yamada, leaving her stunned. Despite this, Yamada narrowly defeats Kyoka, and Kasuda, who is watching the show, realizes that he has no chance against Yamada because they are a mismatched couple. Yamada, to his surprise, is waiting for him at the traditional bonfire dance, and Kasuda rushes to the beach after some hesitation. He requests a dance from Yamada, but she declines and tells him to wait in line with the other 69 people. When Kasuda's turn to dance eventually arrives, the song is finished, but they continue to dance for quite a while. Chika, Yamada's younger sister, has been bringing home a lot of cute men every day as boyfriends. As a result, Yamada becomes envious and decides to completely seduce Kasuda just in time for Christmas Eve. The next day, Kasuda approaches her to ask her out but becomes agitated when several other guys do the same thing. Later, during library service, Yamada is irritated that Kasuda has not asked her out for Christmas Eve yet. Out of desperation, she drops a few hints for him to ask her out, which he thankfully does. Kasuda asks Takeshita to recommend a gift for Yamada 2 days before Christmas. Later that night, Kazuki sketches a perfect date plan for him. Finally, the day of Holy Christmas Eve arrives, and Kasuda and Yamada meet. Yamada's beauty makes her the center of attention for the guys and she gets pumped up to seduce Kasuda just to have sex with him. Unfortunately, everything turns out to be a disaster at first and nothing goes right. Kasuda begins to suspect that her sister's plan will fail and unexpectedly gives Yamada a pair of beautiful earrings. However, she interprets that he also wants to have sex with her and runs away. Kasuda follows her and they enter the Love Hotel district. Yamada, determined to carry out her plan, begins looking for cheap locations, but she ends up leaving the Love Hotel district. Meanwhile, Kasuda is nervous, but he summons the courage to kiss Yamada. Unfortunately, his kiss is slow and he fails. Nonetheless, she attempts to initiate a kiss and practically headbutts him. Fortunately, their lips come into contact, and they are able to finally share their first kiss. Yamada is embarrassed and flees somewhere else. Meanwhile, an ecstatic Kasuda abandons her sister's date plan and follows Yamada. She goes to the bathroom and reports everything to her best friend, Takeshita. She then goes to a love park with him, but the park is already crowded with couples hiding in the bushes and making love. This time, Yamada is pumped up like an out-of-control wild beast, while Kasuda is terrified. Nonetheless, their inexperience keeps delaying the main event, and just as they are about to kiss, something strange happens. Yamada and Kasuda's intimate moment is ruined when it is discovered that the love park is teeming with camera-wielding perverts. After her experience in the love park, Yamada becomes confident and comfortable talking to other guys. On the other hand, Takeshita informs her that she has to give chocolates to Kasuda for the upcoming Valentine's Day, leaving her in a state of shock. Later on, Takeshita meets Miyano in the supermarket, who helps her buy the stuff she wants. Miyano reveals that she's quite fond of cooking and has made a 3-box New Year's dish this year. Takeshita becomes impressed and requests that Miyano teach her some cooking skills. They go to Miyano's house, where she confesses that she's in love with Kasuda but doesn't have the courage to tell him. She believes she's nothing more than a bungler and would be a bother for him. The following day, Takeshita advises Yamada to be more serious about Kasuda because he already has a lover. Meanwhile, Kasuda is hoping that he'll be able to receive chocolates from Yamada. As a result, Yamada decides to win Kasuda's heart by surprising him with homemade chocolates on Valentine's Day. To her surprise, it turns out that making a single box of chocolate is difficult for a novice like her. So, after much effort, Yamada succeeds in producing one box of chocolate for Kasuda. Finally, Valentine's Day comes, but Kasuda does not get any chocolates. On the other hand, Yamada makes the decision to deliver the chocolate box to his home and keep it from other people. Miyano then enters the picture, gathering the courage to present Kasuda with the ideal chocolate cake for Valentine's Day. She instead gives it to Kazuki, who assumes she is giving it to him in exchange for the apples she gave her. Later that evening, Yamada succumbs to shyness and secretly places her chocolate box in Kasuda's home's mailbox. The next day, he tells her that the taste of the unidentified chocolates is quite distinctive, which makes her happy. Yamada has a dream one night in which the god of sex, Iragami-sama, tells her that her desire for sex is waning. The sex god counsels her to find a fresh method of boosting them. The next day, Yamada overhears Misato discussing how every guy is attracted to women who are not wearing any underwear. She then implements this concept the following day, but the outcome is disastrous. She realizes she should not have done this in the first place, which makes her uncomfortable and ashamed. Later, during library duty, Kasuda finds out that Yamada wasn't wearing any underwear exclusively for him. However, when he sees her private area, he freaks out and runs away. Later, at home, Kasuda is pleased that Yamada attempted to impress him. Yamada, on the other hand, is distressed and disappointed with the results. On her first day as a second-year high school student, Yamada successfully manages to attract the passionate gazes of the first-year students. She becomes more determined to complete her mission of finding 100 casual sexual partners. However, her hopes get crushed because her little sister, Chika, has also enrolled in the same school as her. Surprisingly, Chika instantly attracts everyone's attention, leaving Yamada in a state of shock. Later on, Yamada faces another obstacle when she learns that Miyano is now in the same class as her. She believes Miyano will also try to get Kasuda's cherry, but Takeshita assures her that she's clearly mistaken. Just then, Kyoka Kanijo, the girl who nearly beat her in the previous year's beauty contest, enters the classroom, and it's revealed she'll also be in the same class as her. Yamada feels threatened because of Kyoka's charm and immense talent. She even becomes envious when she notices Kyoka getting all the attention from Kasuda. Later, Kasuda admits that he is not interested in Kyoka. He kept looking at her because she reminded him of someone. It turns out that Kyoka is the same girl who appears in the photography magazine that Kasuda buys every month. Kyoka, on the other hand, is revealed to be a cunning girl who still remembers her defeat at the school festival queen title. Her mission is to exact vengeance on Yamada, and she is willing to go to any length to accomplish this. Later, Kyoka returns to her lavish, castle-like home, revealing a dark, vengeful side to the otherwise smiling beauty. She must defeat Yamada and establish herself as the only beauty queen on campus before her brother returns from Harvard. According to Kyoka, perfection runs in her family's blood, and failure is unthinkable. The next day, she invites Yamada to her house for a cup of tea, to which she reluctantly agrees. There, Kyoka confesses that in a month, she plans to steal Yamada's boyfriend. Her direct approach, however, backfires because Yamada refuses to say who her boyfriend is. Yamada unexpectedly discovers something suspicious in one of her drawers, but Kyoka quickly conceals it. Later, after Yamada has left, Kyoka opens a hidden room guarded by high-level security, revealing her dark secret. Everything related to her brother is in the room, and she is clearly infatuated with him in some strange way. Her maid is the only one who is aware that Kyoka has an incestuous brother complex. Yamada keeps getting outperformed by the invincible Kyoka Kanijo in almost everything. She asks Takeshita for advice, who tells her to focus on her feminine skills. Yamada fails to understand her but still has an ace up her sleeve. The following day, the class teacher announces a swimming class. All the students, especially Yamada, desperately prepare a perfect summer body to become the center of attention. On swimming pool day, Yamada gets into a swimming competition against Kyoka. Much to everyone's surprise, despite being the fastest swimmer of her batch, Yamada loses in a 50-meter freestyle swimming race against Kyoka. What's worse is that she even tried to cheat but still lost. The next day, Yamada is confused about her next step against Kyoka and decides to use her sister's help. However, when she takes Chika to meet Kyoka, they instantly become friends, leaving Yamada in a state of utter disappointment. Furthermore, the summer break is announced, so Kasuda summons the courage and asks Yamada to go somewhere for the summer break. She becomes flustered but accepts his invitation, and they later go to a fast food restaurant. Unfortunately, things do not go as planned for them, as their conflicting schedules make it impossible for them to find a day to themselves. After a few days, Yamada attempts to track down Kasuda and accidentally runs into his sister, Kazuki. Kazuki reveals that Kasuda has gone on a family vacation with Miyano's family, and she, too, is going. Yamada is taken aback and begins to fantasize about him getting all lovey-dovey with Miyano. As a result, she decides to pursue him and winds up hitching a ride with some airsofters. She even participates in an airsoft battle with them and obtains an airsoft gun. Miyano, on the other hand, joins Kasuda in admiring the beautiful stars. She approaches him, but Yamada arrives and interrupts their awkward moment. Miyano then departs, and Yamada finally encounters Kasuda, who is busy photographing the stars. She becomes enraged at him for failing to inform her of his family trip, and he resolves everything with her. She then tells him that she is a walking celebrity and that he should photograph her. A surprised Kasuda then pulls out his digital camera and, for the first time, captures Yamada's innocent photographs. Yamada and Kasuda were looking for a date, and it just so happened that they found one under the alluring light of the stars. After the summer break, a 4-day school trip to Kyoto is announced for Class 2H. All the students get excited, and Yamada sees this as another opportunity to hook up with Kasuda. The scene then shifts to Kasuda, who asks his sister about her experience regarding the field trip. Kazuki states that it might be hard for him to find some alone time with Yamada because a field trip mostly consists of multiple group activities. Nevertheless, she advises him to confess his feelings to Yamada, and he becomes embarrassed. The following morning, Yamada is pumped up to obtain Kasuda's fresh and golden cherry. During their journey to Kyoto by train, Kasuda gets busy taking pictures of all the students, and Yamada gets jealous. Takeshita decides to calm down the situation and captures a group photo of them, but it is ruined by an overly enthusiastic Misato. Later on, they reach Kyoto, and everyone proceeds to their inns. During the night, the girls target Takeshita and force her to talk about naughty stuff. The following day, Kasuda becomes impatient and can't wait to express his feelings to Yamada. Later on, the class visits different monuments, which makes it impossible for Yamada and Kasuda to have some alone time with each other. Their entire class gets on a boat, and luckily, they're accidentally left behind. The atmosphere becomes filled with awkwardness, and even after hiring their own boat, Yamada and Kasuda's nervousness keeps them from confessing to each other. The high school trip ends, and on their way back, Yamada is depressed since she wasn't able to do anything with Kasuda for the whole 3 days. She declares this trip a disaster, while Kasuda himself starts having doubts about whether he's good enough for Yamada. Takeshita splits up with Yamada to meet her boyfriend, and Yamada is left all alone on a train to ride home. She's about to get off the train, and surprisingly, Kasuda shows up. He gets stuck in the train door but manages to confess his true feelings to Yamada. Unfortunately, the loud train's noise drowns out his "I love you," and Yamada is unable to clearly hear what he says. The following day, she reports everything to Takeshita, who realizes that Kasuda actually confessed to Yamada. Takeshita tells her to give her answer to Kasuda, but Yamada becomes confused as she only wants to have sex with him. For the next few days, she intentionally avoided Kasuda, who tried to ask her about her answer. One day, he confronts Yamada, but she instantly runs away and reveals she's scared because she doesn't know anything about love since she is into this only to get divergenized. Both Kasuda and Yamada are still analyzing what occurred in Kyoto. A secret popularity contest between Yamada and Kyoka among the boys ends in a tie. Kasuda is eventually able to come clean, publicly confessing his feelings for Yamada. As a result, they become the talk of the town for a few days, while Kyoka and Miyano are stunned. Yamada appears to be irritated by what Kasuda did, but she is actually pleased. Later, both Yamada and Kasuda were appointed to the athletic meet committee. They have a full-fledged conversation there and apologize to one another. They still get nervous, and Kasuda's denseness makes her furious. Soon after, she informs Takeshita of everything, claiming that the only reason she apologized was to get laid. Takeshita, on the other hand, is well aware that Yamada is madly in love with Kasuda. She is simply fleeing because she does not understand love at all, because she expected it to be fun. Kyoka, on the other hand, is furious because Yamada beat her for the second time in their school festival beauty contest. Yamada avoids Kasuda during the athletic competition because she is unsure how to handle their interaction. However, she is unable to avoid him because he is the official photographer. This depresses Kasuda, but Matsuo steps in to lift his spirits by telling him what Takeshita, his girlfriend, has said about Yamada. Kyoka, on the other hand, is tense around Yamada but manages to remain calm because her brother is planning a visit. However, things take a turn for the worse when they clash over their respective relationships, resulting in a heated argument during the juniors' shoulder war despite being on the same team. In the meantime, an unidentified person takes pictures of this spontaneous conflict. It turns out that this individual is none other than Keiichi, Kyoka's brother and her secret incestuous love interest. Unfortunately for Kyoka, Yamada has caught the attention of this charming young man. Kasuda is also concerned because this attractive man with a high-tech camera appears to be effortlessly hitting on Yamada. Nonetheless, Yamada is uninterested in Keiichi, which irritates Kyoka, who believes her brother has been humiliated in front of a crowd. Eventually, Kasuda manages to secure a date with Yamada, who initially attempts to hide from him in the storage room. Now that Kasuda has asked her out, she stops avoiding him and happily resumes her cheerleading duties, even offering Kasuda a brief moment of fan service as he takes her picture. Kasuda and Yamada are getting ready for another date, and they both have reservations. Kasuda is suddenly delayed, which makes Yamada nervous. She grabs the closest individual on the spur of the moment, who happens to be Keiichi. Keiichi takes advantage of the opportunity to apologize for what occurred at the sports meet and invites Yamada to tea. Kasuda eventually catches up with them, dressed as a chaperone. Keiichi confesses his feelings to Yamada over tea after learning from Kasuda that they are only dating. Yamada rejects him, but it causes her to reflect. She understands that Keiichi is still a novice because Kyoka has shunned him in favor of other females. Surprisingly, this is in line with Yamada's desires, but she is still cautious because she believes Keiichi might be pulling a fast one. The date between Yamada and Kasuda generally goes horribly wrong, particularly when Misato shows up unannounced. Kasuda begins to feel sorry for himself, and Yamada finds it difficult to conceal her irritation with Misato. Kyoka, in the meantime, is having nightmares about her brother meeting Yamada and confessing to her for 3 days before learning it is true. Kasuda remains unaware of Yamada's true feelings, though he eventually seeks advice from Miyano to clear things up. When Yamada reveals the specifics of her encounter with Takeshita, it becomes evident that she really likes Kasuda, whether or not he is a virgin. In the meantime, Kyoka tries to kidnap her boyfriend in an effort to exact revenge on Yamada. To the disappointment of Iragami-sama, Kyoka goes to great lengths to learn more about Kasuda, even consulting Miyano. The next day, she starts attempting to entice Kasuda, but her efforts are unsuccessful. Consequently, she poses as a photographer and extends an invitation for him to come over. As soon as Yamada notices this, she starts to worry like crazy because she believes Kyoka wants to have sex with Kasuda. Yamada later sees Kasuda driving away from Kyoka's house in her distinctive golden stretch limousine. Kyoka tries to seduce Kasuda inside the house with the help of her own Iragami-sama. But Ikahara, her nanny, sees Kyoka taking off her clothes in front of a startled Kasuda. She requests that he keep this information a secret from her brother. While Kyoka is distracted, Yamada arrives and sneaks in through the window to retrieve Kasuda, realizing she is about to fall in love with him. Kyoka discovers that Kasuda is no longer present, thanks to the clever tactics of her nanny. As the Christmas season arrives once again, Kyoka extends a gracious invitation to her class for her family's extravagant Christmas party. Surprisingly, Keiichi suggests inviting Kasuda, catching Kyoka off guard. Initially uninterested in the event, Yamada's curiosity is piqued when Misato tantalizingly mentions a mysterious secret room. Kyoka wrestles with the idea of inviting her rival, Yamada, but the issue is resolved when Yamada boldly demands an invitation. At the party, the class, along with their teachers, is struck by the opulence of the affair, finding it challenging to mingle with the affluent guests Kyoka has also included on the guest list. Notable exceptions are Takeshita, who effortlessly commands attention, and Misato, who persistently pursues Keiichi. Kyoka becomes aware of the secret room through Misato and begins to suspect that it might somehow involve her closely guarded brother room. Her mounting anxiety captures Keiichi's attention, prompting her to discreetly ask Yamada and Kasuda to exit, although this decision later appears to be a misstep. Meanwhile, in a case of mistaken entry, Yamada and Kasuda inadvertently find themselves in a room and, despite their nervousness, decide to make the most of the opportunity. Kyoka is taken aback when surveillance footage reveals that they have entered her room and appear to be engaging in intimate activities. Kyoka wrestles with the urge to intervene as she records the unfolding situation out of curiosity. A suspicious Kasuda decides to draw the curtains around the bed, compelling Kyoka to investigate personally. She even brings Takeshita along as a witness. Things seem to be going smoothly for Yamada and Kasuda until Kyoka's sudden entry disrupts their rendezvous. Swiftly, they manage to hide in the closet just before Takeshita parts the curtains for Kyoka's inspection. Despite their momentary relief, the panicked Yamada and Kasuda's predicament is far from over. They find themselves in Kyoka's room, and their concealment is jeopardized when Yamada inadvertently gives away their position with a meow. Kyoka is on the verge of discovering them in the closet, but a timely distraction saves the day. She hears the doors to the brother room opening and spots Miyano emerging from them. This fortunate turn of events allows Yamada and Kasuda to make their escape. As Kyoka recovers from fainting in her room, Miyano approaches her with a rather unusual request. She inquires about how Kyoka managed to create the brother room, as she desires one for Kasuda. With some unresolved matters at hand, Yamada eventually summons the courage to ask Kasuda for a Christmas date, which he gladly accepts. However, she urges him to slow down a bit. For the rest of the class, the aftermath of the party is uneventful, except for Misato, who faces consequences for faking a marriage contract, resulting in her being summoned. Kyoka's mind swirls with curiosity and uncertainty as she observes her disheveled bed, scattered with the remnants of a passionate night. The box of condoms Yamada and Kasuda have left behind is an undeniable testament to their affair, but she cannot help but wonder if it is true. In the midst of this whirlwind of thoughts, Keiichi remains steadfast in his desire to propose to Yamada once more, blissfully unaware of the impending disappointment that awaits his sister. Meanwhile, on the other side of this romantic upheaval, Yamada and Kasuda find themselves in the bizarre situation of receiving unsolicited advice on the art of lovemaking from their well-meaning siblings. The unintended consequence of these unexpected discussions is the revelation of their mutual desire to deepen their relationship. On a crisp Christmas Eve, the turning point arrives, setting the stage for a night to remember. Despite the usual setbacks that fate seems to throw in their path, Yamada and Kasuda embark on a daring adventure to a love hotel. Their union appears to be headed for success, especially with Kasuda taking the initiative and being armed with an unusual tool, a covertly obtained adult video. It seems as though they are finally about to give in to their passion as the evening goes on. Yet destiny has one more surprise in store. In a comical yet unfortunate turn of events, Yamada accidentally activates the malfunctioning rotating bed, sending Kasuda tumbling off with an ankle injury severe enough to warrant a hospital visit. When their intimate moment is abruptly cut short, Yamada's thoughts shift from passion to concern for Kasuda's well-being. As she stands by his hospital bedside, her heart is filled with determination to find a way to help him recover and perhaps bring their shared desires to fruition in a more considerate manner. Yamada, ever the daring spirit, overhears a discussion between two patients about the attentive care provided by nurses. Undaunted by Miyano's unexpected appearance, she decides to surprise Kasuda by dressing up as a sultry pink nurse. Her plans, however, take an unexpected turn when a genuine nurse enters the room. Yamada waits as she is forced to take cover under Kasuda's blankets. Yamada gives Kasuda an impulsive, playful tap on the groin, thinking that the nurse's remarks might have roused Kasuda. She is shocked to learn that Yamada's face is tantalizingly close to a more private area, not the nurse, which initially excited him. The stage is set for a daring exploration, a game of playing doctor, when Kasuda's nurse inconveniently reappears. With Kasuda's impending discharge scheduled before New Year's Eve, Yamada spots an opportunity. Everyone, including her, plans to visit the shrine for prayers. Yamada discreetly hatches a plan, with Takeshita providing cover. When their classmates drop by Kasuda's house en route to the shrine, Yamada cleverly stays behind, determined to seize this moment. Unbeknownst to the others, Yamada stealthily infiltrates Kasuda's bathroom. Their attempt at intimacy is fraught with anticipation, but once again, fate has a different plan. Kasuda succumbs to the scalding water's relentless embrace, his body overwhelmed by increased blood pressure, resulting in a fainting episode. While the rest of the class proceed to the shrine in search of blessings, Yamada and Kasuda find themselves at another shrine, where they finally solidify their bond as a couple. This time, their union is affirmed, promising a new chapter in their relationship as they seek the blessings of the divine. What will happen to the relationship between Yamada and Kasuda? Will she be able to divergenize herself with him? Would Keiichi be able to find out the true nature of her sister's ulterior motives? Find out in the next episode, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.